Hi guys, so today's task is really just to finish up some work. You're going to have the whole class period for a workshop. You are going to first want to make sure that you have your conflict and plot hyperdoc completed. That was due Friday. Some classes I have less than half of you who have completed that. So please make sure that not only have you submitted it on Canvas, but that before you submit, you have every single step done. For some people, I've gotten onto GoFormative and your whole plot diagram is not completed, so then you're not getting full points for that. So I would make sure that I would click on all of the links and make sure that you have responses for all of the questions that were asked on both the Edpuzzle and on GoFormative. I'll go through that here in a second. And then also, when you finish that, if you need to continue reading your novel, do that and have that relationships project step 1 also open. That's also on Canvas. And both those novels and the project for step 1 are due Wednesday. So I will go through just where to find those again. Okay, so a reminder, you'll go into Canvas. You'll go into modules. In modules, you will see the conflict plot hyperdoc, and if you open that, you will load it in a new window. So step 1, remember, was the Edpuzzle. I would just get back on, make sure you've answered all of the questions, watch the whole video. Step 2 is the plot diagram. You're supposed to read Amigo Brothers and fill in the plot diagram on GoFormative, which looks like this. What was the exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution? Don't be afraid to use your plot notes for this. Some people are missing the climax because if you think about the problem is that they're friends and they have to fight each other, right? Where does that come to a turning point or the most dramatic moment where something's going to change with that? Okay, so that would be your climax. If you have the wrong climax, it's going to throw the whole plot diagram off. All right, so make sure that you think hard about that climax. Then, step 3, remember you click on this link. It will take you to a quiz. After you have the quiz, it will give you a certificate of completion with the percentage that you got correct. Remember, the hyperdoc tells you that you need to screenshot your results and paste them here so that I can see how you did. Okay? This was when, on Friday, I told you guys if you are behind in your book to stop, just submit, and work on reading your novel and getting that completed. If you're in good shape with your novel, you pick one of these 3 to complete, and then you can submit. Okay? So that's the hyperdoc. Then, also in modules or assignments, the relationship project step 1. And it's kind of, if you click here, guys, it will open up into a new tab for you so that you don't have to have it so small. But remember, this is where we're going to talk about the title and the author, who the main character is, who the antagonist is, what was the main problem, okay, and what the climax was, or the turning point. If you are not done with your novel, you will not be able to identify this, but you can keep going on this stuff where you're supposed to have 2 examples of loyalty and 2 examples of betrayal between the relationships in the novel, okay? So I have an example here that I'm going to show you for 7th grade. So using the story 7th grade, I said the protagonist was Victor. The antagonist was himself. He gets in his own way of trying to talk to Teresa by being too nervous, saying things he doesn't mean or want to say. I should say want to say. There's also the, he can't really find her. Okay, so he's really the only antagonist. Then I explained the main conflict. Victor wants to make Teresa like him, but he's having trouble finding her, and when he does, he's not communicating the way he wants to, and then he kind of embarrasses himself, okay? The climax, or the turning point, would be when Teresa comes up and said, I didn't know you know French, and this is a turning point because it could have gone either way, right? It could have been she, realizes that it's not French, or She asked for help, right, in this case. So that's our turning point, our climax. Then we go down here for loyalty. I have a couple examples of loyalty. One is between Michael and Victor, and this is the quote. It says, Michael thinks that making a face makes him handsome. On the way to his homeroom, Victor tried to scowl. He felt foolish, but out of the corner of his eye, he saw a girl looking at him. He thought, maybe it does work. He scowled with greater conviction. I explained how this quote shows loyalty. So I believe that Victor is showing Michael loyalty in this quote. When friends trust each other, they take advice from each other. And the text author states Michael thinks his face makes him look handsome, and then Victor tries to scowl to see if girls will notice him. He's showing loyalty because he's taking Michael's advice. Another example of loyalty is between Mr. Bueller and Victor on page 42. The quote is, Mr. Bueller looks at Victor, and Victor looked back. And then ... Remember, we skipped some of the text, right? Mr. Bueller shuffled through his papers on his desk. He smiled and hummed as he sat down to work. So in this quote, Mr. Bueller shows loyalty to Victor because he had the opportunity to let Teresa know that Victor wasn't actually speaking French. But if he had done that, Teresa wouldn't have asked for his help, and Victor wouldn't have had the chance to hang out with her again. Then here's an example of betrayal, okay? The characters involved are Victor and his English class on page 39. So the quote says, in English class, they've reviewed, another quote, mistake there. They reviewed the parts of speech. Mr. Lucas, a portly man, waddled down the aisle, asking, what is a noun? A person, place, or thing, said the class in unison. Yes, now somebody give me an example of a person. You, Victor Rodriguez. Teresa, Victor said automatically. Some of the girls giggled. They knew he had a crush on Teresa. Sorry for all the typos here, guys. He felt himself blushing again. Correct, Mr. Lucas said. Now, provide me with a place. Gosh, this computer is not helping me catch my mistakes. Mr. Lucas called on a freckled kid who answered, Teresa's house with a kitchen full of big brothers. So this quote shows betrayal from his classmates. Victor uses Teresa as a person example automatically, showing that she was on his mind. The class laughed at him, but another classmate pokes fun at him a little more and adding the place of her house with a kitchen full of big brothers. By making fun of Victor's slip-up, the class is showing betrayal. Okay? So, those are some examples, but that's the type of explanation that I'm looking for here. Okay? Also the quote. Remember, quote does not have to be dialogue, but it can. That means it doesn't have to be in quotation marks in the text, but it can. Okay? You'll notice that I have some narration where it wouldn't have had quotation marks in the story, but then I also have some dialogue, which would have. Okay? Once you're done with that, you can submit that on Canvas also. If you are done early, you have the opportunity. You can go to the LMC and check out a new book. Be thinking about your goals that you just set last week if you do that. Or you can get on Lexia and do some minutes on Lexia. Okay? Thank you.